I'm joined here now by Mayor of London candidate George Galloway for the Respect Party. George, thank you very much for joining me. We're
Pleasure.
currently in the interval of a very heated hustings.
I'm a big fan of your station.
Thank you very much, yes. So George, on the Mayor of London race, what is your main priority for London, would you say?
Well, housing and security are the two big issues. London is being socially cleansed. The working class are being moved further and further out, driven out by the highest rents in the world, the highest house prices in the world, and then coming back in again to work on the highest tube fares in the world. This is a cruel and unusual punishment to ordinary Londoners. So we have to tackle that. We have to build hundreds of thousands of council houses. We have to build social housing on all the government-owned, state-owned land that's all over London. Lots of it. The biggest landowner is the Transport for London, the National Health Service, the Department of Education, even the Ministry of Defence. We need to build on brownfield. We'll have to build on some greenfield, and we'll have to build tastefully. I speak as someone who lives in the lee of the Goldfinger Trellick Towers, one of the world's great architectural masterpieces. We need to build up in a classy and aesthetically beautiful way. And security, of course, which nobody else talks about except me. London is in grave danger from extremism, terrorism, and I'm the best place to combat that because I opposed all the things that brought us to this place. I know where all this is coming from, and I'm in the best position to lead the fight to tackle it.
On a slightly different issue now, George, how would you reduce pollution on our streets and on our roads?
Well, I would ban trucks and heavy vehicles from inner London in daylight hours. London will have to become, like New York City, a 24-hour city with a 24-hour tube, for which we belatedly have now got agreement. Boris Johnson's pig-headedness accepted. We could have had that long ago. We need to cap and then cut the number of private hire vehicles on the roads, 100,000 new minicabs, Uberizing London, driving the drivers' wages down to rock bottom, by the way, but also clogging up the streets with pollution that's killing up to 10,000 people every single year.
You just spoke then, obviously, about transport, and I was wondering, transport in general, so for instance, the trains, we have a fantastic tube service. What are your policies on that?
Well, all young people, school children, college and university students will travel free on London transport if I'm the mayor, to make up for the theft of education maintenance allowance, which has been stolen from them by this government, and tuition fees, which have tripled, and which were introduced, of course, by the government before that, the so-called Labour government. I never went to university, but I did pay tax for those who did, and then they kicked the ladder away from everyone else's children once they clambered up it. So there'll be very big changes on the overground and on the underground and on the roads, and in relation to cabs. I will defend London's iconic black cabs. I'll run Uber out of town, and I will cap and then cut the number of private hire vehicles on the road.
We're approaching the end of the interview now, George, and just a few quick-fire questions. So you're a Man United fan, unfortunately,
Yes.
for this season. Louis van Gaal, should he stay or should he go?
Must go. I was against his appointment. I was the first to call for him to go, and everything I predicted about him has come miserably true, as everyone saw at Tottenham Hotspur on Sunday.
Who is your political idol?
Tony Benn.
The next president of the United States, in your opinion, out of the candidates?
Bernie Sanders.
In EU or Brexit?
Brexit. Lexit.
Lexit. Do you think David Cameron should resign?
I do, and I was amongst the thousands at Downing Street at the weekend demanding that he should. Nothing that has emerged so far has changed my mind about that, and I hear there is more in the pipeline which will make that demand even more realisable. I think David Cameron is on his last legs. He will not be Prime Minister come Christmas time.
Thank you very much, George Galloway.
I'm George Galloway, and you're listening to RaW. It's raw, and it's fantastic.